And here we go. Let me get us going. Oh, macro day, macro 101. Group.
So question for you.
Yeah. All right. And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our day 2 of Macros 101. We hope you learned so much on Tuesday, yesterday, when we went live and talked about what macros are and really dived in super deep into the geeky math side of things to help you determine your own macros. So if you haven't, make sure you reach out to us and get the link so you can download our flexible dieting guide. That's going to give you that worksheet and walk you through how to track your macros. So today we're going to dive a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about groceries, putting together your grocery list, staple foods, things that are going to help you set you up for success and help you reach those numbers that you've figured out now. Because now, yeah, you have your macros. What the heck do you do next?
Yep, you know what your goals are. Now you have to make the plan.
Yes. And just real quick, before we dive into the plan, you have to also think about how often, and we didn't talk about this. So obviously you set your macro goal based on your health and fitness goals, whether you want to be in a deficit and lose weight or be in a surplus and build some muscle. So one thing, you're going to start tracking your foods. You need to allow yourself some time. So this is a graceful project, a journey. And just because you don't see changes immediately that first week, make sure you wait 2 to 3 weeks before you start changing your macros and dropping them more or increasing them based on your goals. So let's dive in, Marissa. Let's talk about, so here we are. We have our numbers figured out. So what is the best way to go about hitting our numbers?
Yeah. So, what I like to do is I always think about, when I do my grocery list, I first think about everything as a whole. So I want a variety of veggies. I want a couple of fruits to have handy, a couple of carbs to have handy, and a couple of proteins. I have mentioned I don't typically plan for fats because they're a lot of times already in the foods that we already eat. However, I do almost always have nuts on hand, or I have avocados chopped up and frozen in the freezer. So that's how I think of it as, yeah, that's how I reach my fat goals if I'm ever short at the end of the day. But that's how, when I'm making my grocery list, I always think of that. I always try to have 2 of everything at least out of those 4 different categories.
Ooh. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick with you guys. And we put together some amazing resources for you. Oh, I guess I have to share it before I pull it up. So as Coach Marissa was saying, she puts together her grocery list and she thinks about the foods that she's going to eat that week. So think about meals, and we want you guys really to keep it simple. Simplicity is the easiest way in the very beginning.
Yes, in the beginning, definitely keep it simple because you're trying to figure all this out to begin with. So I wouldn't be try to figure out your macros that fits in this casserole dish. I probably wouldn't start that the first couple weeks. I would just keep it super simple. So go ahead, Trista.
Yeah. So what I was going to say also is, so here we are. We gave you your numbers, or you figured out your numbers, right? You know how many calories you're going to have, carbs, fats, and proteins. So think about realistically, how many meals am I going to have per day? So let's say 4 meals. Let's divide your meals by 4. So we'll start by dividing your calories by 4, divide your carbs, fats, and protein by 4. And then that gives you a good idea of how big of portions you need for each meal. So here's just some wonderful ideas. This is obviously not all of the foods. These are just a few things that I could think of. So it's broken down into protein, carbs, and fats. And then if you're like, oh, I just can't think of veggies and fruit, there is a whole list of them for you. So we will make sure that you guys get a copy of this. We'll drop it in the comments or post it inside the Fit Life Tribe so you have access to this wonderful resource. And like I said, it's just some ideas. Think about what you enjoy to eat. Keep it simple. Choose a protein and a carb. And then as Coach Marissa said, you can, usually that includes your fat, and your fat is going to, if you're a little low on fat, you can have nuts, add some avocados, or throw in a little extra virgin olive oil into a salad or whatever that may look like. So another thing to think about is, what are your staple foods? And we talk about this so much inside the Fit Life Tribe because it's really important to understand and eat the same foods, or not necessarily eat the same foods, but know what foods are going to help you reach your goals the easiest. So Marissa, talk about what your staple foods are and that you get every time.
So every time I go, I always get the same, like she said, staple foods. I have for breakfast, I have my yogurt that I always need on hand, my fruits. I have a variety. Right now, my variety is bananas, strawberries, and blueberries. I have rice cakes, turkey, ground turkey, chicken, cottage cheese, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and I think, what else did I have today, sis? That's about it. And edamames. That's my different variety of veggies that I have this week. And I always have sweet potatoes and rice.
Yeah. Oh, see, I didn't think about edamame. That's not on my list, but that would be a great.
Oh, edamame is loaded with protein as well. It's a good carb, but it is actually loaded with protein.
And I have some in my freezer. I just didn't even think to add that to the list. That is a wonderful, wonderful source. So I'm similar to you. I have a good amount of foods that I consider my staple foods. And so always, hands down, I always have in my freezer. So let's start with, if you are not feeling like prepping or cooking food, have some stuff in your freezer. So I always have frozen fruit. I always have bird's eye frozen vegetables, or like they have some with carbs in them as well. Those are amazing to have with a protein source. I always have frozen rice packs, frozen avocado, as you mentioned, and frozen protein too that's already prepared. So if I really don't want to cook, then I am good to go. So those are my staples. They always are in my freezer. Inside my fridge, eggs and liquid egg whites, like hands down, don't go without them. Then I have Greek yogurt, cottage cheese every once in a while, but I always have Greek yogurt, the non-fat Greek yogurt. Bagged salad, fruits, usually it's strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries. Those are our favorite, and Evie likes them too, and apples and bananas. What am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting something, but that's a good start. So then let's kind of talk about, and of course everybody's going to be different, right? So when you're preparing your meals, think about always preparing it around a protein source. So you want to think about that for every meal. And then start with protein, and then carb, and then you can fit in that fat if you need to, if they didn't get it from your carb and your fat protein source. I'm gonna show my next little resource real quick that we're gonna share with you guys as well. So here is just another breakdown of carbs, proteins, and fats. But if you are like, oh my goodness, I need to figure out a carb and a protein source because I'm low on those, we have some sources here for you, and then some protein and fat sources as well. So Marissa, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and we'll go back to us. What would be your number one tip for someone who is first starting out and tracking their foods and working on hitting their macro goals?
I would say, like we said in the beginning, keep it simple. And when you start, a lot of the times inside the Fit Life Tribe, we start you out with a calorie goal and protein goal. After you've figured out how to reach your protein without going over your calories, then we incorporate carbohydrates and fats, because just all three of them as a whole can be overwhelming to understand, and just easing into it just makes you understand it better altogether. Yes. But what we want you to be able to do is, when you look at your plate, ask yourself, what is your protein source? What are you eating for your protein? Because 9 times out of 10, like, you're not eating enough. So if it's chicken, probably need a little bit more. And I would say also just making sure, like, you're weighing it. If you're really if your goal is to lose weight and you really want to understand macros as a whole, to just be measuring your foods.
Yeah, no, those wonderful tips. And then also, as Coach Marissa said, once you get more confident in reaching your calories and your protein goal, then we start incorporating your fats and your carbs. And then that's when you can start having a little bit more fun and a little bit more variety with your meals, and figuring out, like, hey, I'm gonna have a casserole. Like, our favorite casserole is this. So how in the world do I keep track of it? So in the beginning, keep it simple. I keep it simple, and I've been counting macros for probably for a while. It's been quite a long time I've been doing macros, and I still keep it simple. I have a few meals, like my ground turkey quinoa chili, which is phenomenal, and I will be sharing the recipe with you guys soon, since it's fall. And today's the first day of fall. I got my pumpkin spice latte for the 100th time since they came out with them September 1st.
Oh yeah.
But I had to get one today because I'm like, it's official, it's fall, and it's like legit that I can actually be drinking pumpkin spice and wearing a hoodie, because it was like 40 or 50 degrees this morning. It was cold. Yeah, it was chilly. So it definitely felt like a brisk fall morning. So yes, keep it simple. Start with carbs and protein and calories, and then branch into carbs and fats.
Yes.
Make sure you follow your protocol, the goals that you have set, for a minimum 2 weeks before you make any changes. And before you make changes, really sit back and think, have I been consistent with hitting these numbers? And if the answer is yes, then okay, we can make some changes. If you have not been consistent, make sure you're consistent first before you make any changes. Because ultimately, if you're not being consistent and honest with yourself, making changes is not going to benefit you at all. You're not going to get any closer to your goals, because you're probably going to cut more calories and then become more restrictive. So ultimately, the goal with macros and our goal inside the Fit Life Tribe is to help you eat as much food as possible. Find that fine line for you so that you're losing weight and still enjoying foods that you love. So we don't want you eating 1,200 calories a day. You should, most adults should be eating 14, 15, 16, up to 2,200 calories, ideally. So that is our goal for you guys. We want you to feel good, feel your body.
Flexibility with it, and have a candy bar when you want a candy bar.
Yeah, or a glass of wine, like me. Yes. Right now, I do. I preach, or I do what I preach. And I want you guys to understand, I enjoy having a glass of wine at night in the evenings, and I'm going to make sure I fit it into my macros. So if you have questions on how do I fit alcohol into my macros, DM me. I would love to share that with you. Or I know I've done multiple lives on this as well, because we're all about enjoying your social life, having fun, not feeling like you're on a diet. This is a lifestyle. And that is why macros is so amazing, and that flexible dieting approach. Yes.
All right.
So that is all we have for you tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just think, yeah, just like Coach Trista said, just keeping it super simple, especially in the beginning, is key.
Yes, it is. And we will be live on today is Wednesday. We will be live again on Friday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. And we're going to actually we're going to talk a little bit about meal prepping and helping set you up for success to hit those numbers as well. So now we've walked you through how to figure out your goals, set your own macros. Today, we gave you some ideas on a groceries to get that are broken down by your carbs, your fats, and your proteins. So like I said, I will be posting these in the Fit Life Tribe later on today. So you have these resources available to you. One thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, I forgot to mention this, grocery shopping. So I want to just give you some tips. Before you go to the grocery store, never go to the grocery store on an empty tummy. If you are hungry, don't go shopping, because then you're going to stray from your list. You're not going to get anything that's on there. And I can tell you, when Ken goes, or me, goes to the grocery store and we're hungry, I'm going to buy things that I know I should not have in my cupboard at that time. Yes, we preach flexible dieting, but at the same time, I will get things that I do not need, like ice cream or chocolate chip pumpkin cookies. Yeah, those are my triggers right there. So be mindful of that. And then when you are walking into a grocery store, 90% of the items you need are on the perimeter. So stay on the perimeter. That's where you're going to get your fresh fruit and vegetables, your poultries, and I guess that would be the majority of it, like your whole foods. Then if you need those frozen items, you can get those through the other aisles. But ultimately, the perimeter is where it's at. That's where you're going to find your fresher foods and help you stay on track. And that is it. Have a list, have a plan, which is what we're providing you with. So make sure you guys check those out. And if you have questions, please let us know. And then, as I was saying, Friday, we will be diving into actually how to meal prep and that you set yourself up for success to get those numbers spot on. So that is it.
All right. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Yes. Have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Here we go.